Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Our dear friends Jimmy and Kate Edwards sent this, and wow, let this sink in because it's really a true statement. Regarding immigration, heaven has a wall, a gate, and strict immigration policy. Hell has open borders. How true. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a great patriot to call in with our Pledge of Allegiance. Come on, get on the phone. Good morning. And a good morning to you as we gaze out the window of the old office and say, Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a great big fall tire sale. Better get in there today. And along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, without further ado, let's have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So
well done, Doug, and I've got something I want you to call back on in a few minutes. I'm sure you will. God bless. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Right now, Wheels, you are the quarterback of the team over there, and you kind of push the running plays and the pass plays. We need to have this good word, please, sir, for Brad Little.
Brad Little is running for governor to put Idaho families first. Brad Little's plan, invest in our teachers and more local control of public education. Continue to fight against rising health care costs. And tax cuts to create more opportunity for working families and to keep our economy growing. Here's Brad Little.
I grew up on an Idaho ranch, and I still work on one today. Idaho's where we raised our family and where our grandchildren are growing up. I'm running for governor because I want Idaho to be a great place for them and the best place in America to pursue a dream. I have a plan to improve our schools and create better paying jobs. And I have the experience to get it done.
A rancher, an experienced leader. As governor, Brad Little will put Idaho families first.
I'm Brad Little, and I'd be honored to have your vote.
Paid for by Brad Little for governor. Vicki Risch, treasurer.
There you go. Thank you very much. And right now, let's go to the weather forecast on this Tuesday. Brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hebron, right there, smack dab on the Burley-Paul Highway. Don't forget the best of rental tools and equipment. They've got everything over there. Log splitters, and they've got all the excavators and the tillers. I mean, hey, don't look any further. Just give them a call or stop in. K&R Rental at 678-3122. And here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast as we are into the final 2 days of October. Today is going to be nice. The rest of the week, not so much. Looking at sunny skies for today, winds out of the west-southwest right around 9 miles an hour, expecting a high of 48. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 31. Tomorrow, We are expecting mostly cloudy skies, high of 52, winds out of the southwest picking up to about 16 miles an hour, gusts as high as 24 miles an hour. For trick-or-treating tomorrow night, we do have a 20% chance of rain showers before midnight, mostly cloudy skies. Winds are going to be picking up as well, gusts as high as 25 miles an hour and a low of 42 by Thursday. Still a chance of rain showers before noon, mostly cloudy skies, gusts as high as 30 miles an hour, expecting a high of 57 by Friday. Back to mostly sunny skies and 66. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Sounds good to me. Let's get through the next couple of days, and welcome back the old sun. Thank you. Weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. The number to call, 678-3122. By the way, don't forget Thursday sale day at the sale that works for you. The Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Here's the number for cattle consignments and sale information, 678-9411. 678-9411. Merv May, Cade Rogge, and Lance Udy at the sale that does work for you. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 10 o'clock, Thursday morning sale. Don't you forget it. And also, something else you better not forget, people that really do a fantastic job taking care of your clothes. Clothes are expensive. Man alive, that goes without speaking. And you want to take care of them, so stop into Darrow's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Kevin, Cindy, the whole crew serving you. And by the way, if you don't have time to do your own washing, put it in a bag, take it down there. They'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes. That's right, at Darrow's Cleaners, and they are located at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. We got a lot of things to cover this morning. And here's the schedule. Frosty Woldridge is going to be on the air at Golden, Colorado at 9:06. And then in the Stoats Ag Minute with Vic, and then we've got Dr. History. And then at 10:32 this morning, we're attempting to have, and I say attempting because sometimes cell phones don't work very well, long distance. And we're supposed to have Lieutenant Governor Brad Little running for governor on at 10:30. And he is going to be in Coeur d'Alene. So we're going to shoot our silver bullets and try to get him on the air for about 15 or 20 minutes. Calls are welcome and appreciated at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to talk about the Caravan in just a moment, and you can hang an S behind Caravan and make it plural, because now there are plans and organization for not only one more, but another one, and then maybe another one coming up from Central America. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. And they do, and this is not brag, this is a fact, have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. Over 6 decades of serving you, your family, your business, etc. right there at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. So work with the best, Ramsey Heating and Electric. And the number again, 678-0459. Caller, I will be right there. I promise. Do not pass go. I'll be right there in just 30 seconds. I want to remind everybody, Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley with Thomas and Michelle. Everybody over there working to make sure that your eating experience over there really nice, with nice people and fantastic food. Whoa! We really enjoy our Zeb's Lunch Bunches over there every month, and it is true. It's America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. So you stop in anytime, all the time. You're hungry. This is the place to go. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. And don't forget, the breakfasts are fantastic. Lunches, supper, desserts, everything. Denny's Restaurant. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. A couple of things that are on my mind, and I think they need to be aired out. I think these people that are coming up from this Armada, once they hit the border of Mexico, they're going to disperse and head east into Arizona and a whole other places, and 5,000 troops isn't going to be enough to cover the situation.
You meant
One other thing that I'm concerned about is that we haven't heard much about is these terrorist training camps that we've got, how active are they now? Are they going to join with this bunch that's coming up? Because I feel we are in extreme danger.
Well, in answer to your question this morning, after the research that I've done and the people I've talked to back in Washington, D.C. and New York City at various think tanks, yeah, you're right. We are in trouble. And I'll tell you why. This situation with the caravan still heading towards the United States, they're getting rides on cars and buses and trains, anything that will help and aid them to get to the border. They got to be stopped, because now there is word this morning that the organizers of this first one are putting forth the effort for not another one just in a sole entity, but another one after that. In other words, the perpetration of trying to keep wave after wave after wave of these people heading for our border and trying to infiltrate us like an invasion, it's not going to quit. We're going to have to be very tough and very firm. Now, what I'm about to say is going to rankle some people. It's going to raise some of the hair on the back of their neck and say, oh, Zeb shouldn't have said that. We've got to be very tough here. Our military is going to be on the border. 5,200 troops are planning to be on the border, and they will be armed. They're not going to be standing there with hands in their pockets. They will be armed. And I look at this as an invasion to our country with a pugnacious attitude of, you can't stop us, we're coming in, we're going to take over. That's an invasion. And quite frankly, it's got to be stopped, and I think force might be necessary. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, and I hope when the time comes, if these people won't stop, what comes to my mind is Kent University. This is what's got to happen.
Well, I don't want to say it's got to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. But I don't know why the American public is being so gullible to think that, excuse me for that cough, Tony, I've been fighting that cold for over a week. I don't know why we're so gullible as to thinking these people don't have the best intentions for Tony or Zeb or anybody else. They want to come in as an act of illegality and take over and try to get some of the amenities that we're paying other American citizens. They just want to come in and take control, and we pay for it. I'm not standing for it.
Well, people like Maxine Waters, I'd like to ask her a question. Is she willing to take these people into their homes and camp on her property and set up tent cities in her neighborhoods?
Maxine Waters is not smart enough to give an adult answer on this question. All she is worthy of is stirring up strife and trouble, and she is one person that should be absolutely thrown out of office. How can I make myself any more clear?
You did.
Okay.
You made it real clear. We are in trouble. We've got a catastrophe on the making here, and God help us.
You know, and I think what your last words were, very true. God help us. Tony, thank you. God bless you. Thank you very much. I want to remind everybody, you betcha, sir, I want to remind everybody about Legislative District 25 State Senator Jim Patrick. This is a good man that is working for Idaho and the people of Idaho, and he appreciates all the support that you've given him in the past. Jim, of course, born in Twin Falls area, lifelong farmer, understands agriculture and how valuable it is to the state of Idaho, and he wants you to go out and vote on next Tuesday, November 6th. He wants you to understand the Propositions 1 and 2. Understand about the people that are running. Please go vote November 6th. Paid for by Jim Patrick, District 25 Senator. Wheels, could we please have the good word for Representative Fred Wood?
With us now, Legislative District 27 State Representative Fred Wood.
Hi, I'm Fred Wood. November the 6th is General Election Day. This election, all statewide constitutional offices and all legislative seats are up for re-election. In addition, Idaho citizens have placed two propositions on the general election ballot. Proposition 1, historical horse racing, and Proposition 2, Medicaid expansion. These propositions are citizens' opportunity to participate in direct democracy. Please go vote on November the 6th. Paid for committee to re-elect Fred Wood, Steve Westfall, Treasurer.
Thank you, Fred. Appreciate that. Good man right there, Representative Fred Wood. Also, I'm going to take some more calls. Here's what I'd like to find out. Do you, the public, want these illegal aliens to storm our border and come in to the United States? It's an absolutely simple question. Do you want them basically to override, overrun, and besiege our country by demanding to come in and basically push against our military on the border and say, get out of the way, we're coming in no matter what you want or what you can do? Do you want them here? And the next group here, and the next group here. What are your thoughts? I really would like to hear from you. I've taken some heat by the liberals in this area, which I expect. You know, they call after the program and chew me out on my cell phone, and it always just irritates me. And I let them know that if they want to call so bad and chew on me, do it on the air so everybody can hear the chewing. But they won't do that. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. I'm going to find myself over there at 1 o'clock. Yeah, I'm starting my program, my exercise program. Nick Greenwell, physical therapist, and all the physical... I bit my tongue so bad. Physical therapists over there serving you with all the exercises and, of course, the use of that hydrotherapy pool. Oh, the only one of its kind in the area. So I urge you to call them and let them help you get back to being you. 678-1191, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. You call for an appointment today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, this is Earl Worthen.
Yes, sir.
No, we don't need this illegal alien problem coming into this country because we've been faced with the problem from years prior. The borders of the United States and also the states within the states need quarantine stations where we look at these people, if they do cross our borders, and make sure they're vaccinated for everything under the sun that we were vaccinated as we were when we were children.
Yes.
Because we're going to have a heck of a problem with the diseases coming back into this country.
Well, wait a minute. Earl, stop for a second. Earl, stop for a second. Let's talk about that for a second. With all the cases of a paralyzing illness similar to polio already found in almost every state in the United States, with over 166 cases already found and documented, you're doggone right we're going to have a problem with disease. We already are seeing a problem with disease, and I don't want it exacerbated any further. This has got to stop.
And what I'm saying needs to be brought up to the governors of all states or any of them that are running for public office. This has got to come to an end, or we're faced with an epidemic that is not. It isn't going to be controllable as it was in the past.
Well, Earl, let me ask you this question real quick, and then I've got to do a commercial break. But why do we have to be, and I'll equate this to what I said yesterday, the sponge that absorbs all the water until finally the sponge can't absorb anymore and the sponge sinks to the bottom. In other words, we can't be the one-all catch-all for all the people coming in here, disregarding our laws, disregarding our Constitution, and disregarding our borders, and disregarding our citizens of this United States and their safety. We can't do this anymore.
No, we can't, and other countries can't be an example of the same thing that's coming in our borders.
Absolutely.
This just can't take place throughout the world.
I had one of the calls I had. They said, "Well, you're just a hate person. You don't have any humanitarian values." You know, that made me almost want to climb through the phone line, Earl, because right now we're overlooking American citizens. We're overlooking our elderly. We're overlooking the mess like what's in San Francisco with human filth and people shooting up drugs laying on the street. We've got a lot here in America to clean up, and we'd better take some of the money and resources to get it done now, and not be the coat hanger for everybody to come in from the world, hang their coat up and say, hey, we're here and you can't do anything about it.
by not doing something that we're ending our future.
That's right. Well, yes, absolutely. Earl, I appreciate your call, and stay warm up on the mountain this morning. It's a little chilly out there.
There was more I could say. I was thinking about arming our borders with shepherds with the lacerators down there, too. That might turn them back.
Thanks, Earl. I'm glad you had to throw that in. All right, have a good day. Thank you.
Put the scare in them.
Yeah, would. Calls welcome 436-2244. Don't forget Representative and Speaker of the House Scott Bedke of District 27 urges you to go vote next Tuesday. And it's very important to go vote, and he wants you to vote for Brad Little for governor. Yes, Brad Little for governor, and I urge you to do the same. Scott, of course, former director of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, has been the Speaker of the House since 2012, and he urges you to know Propositions 1 and 2 and all the people that are running before you go to the polls on next Tuesday. Paid for by Scott Bedke, District 27 Representative. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't go away. Also want to acknowledge another good friend of this program, and that's Legislative District 27 State Senator Kelly Anthon. You know, Kelly is really honored to represent the Mini-Cache area and stands up for conservative values and principles and voting for protecting those values. Agriculture, of course, is one of the main things that Kelly is really, really supportive, and that's good for the entire state of Idaho and all the families that live here. Don't forget, Kelly Anthon, Legislative District 27 State Senator, urges you to go vote next Tuesday, November 6th. Paid for by District 27 Senator Kelly Anthon. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah. You know, the thing that really concerns me is the fact that all these people we're sending to the border to protect it, they're not being protected because they may have guns and things like that, but we're not allowed to use them. If this person comes, steps 1 foot on our soil, we can't shoot them or anything. So I just don't understand how we're going to protect this border.
You know, Keith, you bring up an issue that my wife and I were talking about last night. I mean, we're going to put our military down there on the border, 5,200 troops. I don't remember the exact break between what's going to be in Texas, Arizona, and California, but 5,200 troops, and they are going to be armed, and they should be. But this is an invasion. Don't give me this garbage, anybody, about, oh, these are women carrying or dragging their children. They need to. I've watched the films, and last night we paid very close attention to all the news media footage. You know, Keith, I don't think I saw more than 1 or 2 women in any of the footage reels on the news last night at all. They're all younger men, let's say between ages 18 to 35, and by golly, I just don't understand why we're being duped into thinking this is a humanitarian crisis.
Well, I liken this situation to a prison where they get together and they're going to riot. They are not scared of getting shot because ordinarily they don't. But as soon as they do shoot at them, they calm right down. And I think we're going to have something like that to tell them that we mean business.
You know, and so many people in the news media are afraid to say that there has to be force to turn these people back. They're afraid to say it, but I'm not going to be. I do not want them here. I do not want an invasion of this country. Let me ask you this. Once the first band of these people, the first caravan, just says blatantly, we're coming in and you can't stop us, and if our military turns into a matador at a bullfight and they just kind of say, okay, go on by, we're not going to be able to stop anybody from here on in. It's going to be open borders, and we're not going to have any law, no respect, and no control.
It's like the old saying, bringing a knife to a gunfight. It just isn't going to be that way.
I'm worried about this. I am very worried about this because I see where the United States and us, the citizens that are concerned about the United States and our children's future, our grandchildren's future, and our education system, our health care system, everything is on the verge of being taken over and dictated to by people that are not citizens.
Well, I don't believe in bloodshed, but there's going to have to be some bloodshed to stop this, because these people are like a tidal wave. You cannot stop them by common sense. They're going to come forth no matter what.
The best way to stop this would be to have some of the Democratic leadership, the Schumers, Pelosi's, Feinsteins, etc., stand up and say, like they did years ago, but then they went turncoat on their own thoughts, no, you're not coming in.
They're just absent.
There's no question.
They're absent from this situation.
Absolutely. Keith, I got to run. I got to get these spots in. Thank you, my dear friend. Good points this morning. Thank you.
Go for it.
All right, buddy. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. Yes, they are a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small. They take care and serve them all and keep them healthy. Absolutely. Ark Animal Hospital has been voted Minnecache's best veterinary hospital numerous times. Dr. Bill, Dr. Jordan, the whole staff, they really care. They care. That's the number one thing. So please give them a call at 678-1177. Ark Animal Hospital in Hayburn. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Also want to remind you quickly that Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering products that can help keep you comfortable and save you money. Ramsey Heating and Electric offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases. All you need to do is call and find out more. 678-0459 at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Over 6 decades, wow, of serving you. Really good people. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Mr. Bell.
How are you?
I am just finer than frog here. How about you?
Well, I'm great. What can I do for you? I got a line of calls lined up. Go ahead, Donna.
I'll bet you do. You know, you asked a question a few minutes ago about, do you really want these illegals coming in?
Mm-hmm.
My answer is absolutely not. This is not people who want to come in to assimilate into our country. They're trying to come in illegally. And, you know, you have to take a minute to thank Donald Trump, our president, for sending troops to the border.
Yep.
The only thing I wish was that he would let them do what they need to do to stop them. I'm afraid some of them are going to get in anyway, and I don't. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. George is talking to me on the other end.
Well, tell George if he wants to have his own radio program to buy one.
Oh, yeah, you know, I bet you what he wanted me to say was they're going to put all the women and children up front.
Yes.
And they're the ones that are going to get hurt.
You know,
if you look at all these people, you know, in that caravan, that to me that is an invasion.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, a peaceful thing. They're all very well dressed. They look like they've been fit. What the heck are they coming here for?
You know, and you bring up some points that need to be elaborated on a little bit. The clothing. Deanne picked up on that right away. Look at the clothing. I mean, they're supposedly have been marching since they left either El Salvador, Guatemala, whatever, and they're not ragtag. They don't look dirty. They're wearing Nike outfits, Nike shoes. They've got the best of everything. But here's the thing that bothers me more than anything else, and I don't know if this is one of the points of making kind of a burr under your saddle, but it is mine. They're marching to demand entry into the United States. At the same time, they're carrying the banner of the flag of their old country that supposedly they hate. And they're not winning any friendships with me by carrying the banner of their old country.
Oh, me neither. I noticed that right off. You know, if you're coming to another country to get away from the oppression, supposedly, I don't think you would be that patriotic to your own flag. And that's what I said earlier. They're not going to assimilate. They're not wanting to assimilate. and come in legally. Like we have, we are a country of immigrants. And I have no objection to them coming through and going through the process to become citizens. But when you get a big group of people like that, I mean, thousands and thousands of people, come on.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Donna. Give me a short answer on this. Give me a really short answer because I've got to do a break. How many illegal aliens are acceptable? How many immigrants on a legal fashion are acceptable numbers-wise? We've already got estimated 22 million illegal aliens in this country, okay? How many more? How many legal refugees? How many this? I mean, pretty quick, you're going to be looking at a 350 million person country turn into 500 million, 600 million. Do we have the social amenities and the environment to take care of all these people? I think not.
No, we don't. And like I said, the ones that are here illegally, they need to round them up, send them back across the border, and let them come in the way, thousands and thousands of other people have stood in line to become a citizen.
Absolutely. I got to run, Donna. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Wonderful lady right there. Good family. I just really enjoy them. Thank you very much. Don't forget Dino's Septic Service. I know. They do the job that you and I don't want to do. That's right. No doubt about it. I don't want to be standing out there pumping out a septic tank. Ooh, no. I don't want to be cleaning up sewer and sink drain lines and everything. They do. And they want to do a good job for you. Septic tanks pumped and backhoe services, water and sewer lines installed, liquid waste removal, all of this and so much more. Dino's Septic Service. Remember the name. They've expanded their business, and man, are they good. Great customer service to you. Call the number 436-6526 and in Burley 678-1638 with a big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service. Call them today. Don't forget, too, Barry Equipment and Rental. Oh, my goodness sakes. Got to brag on those folks. They're really, really good people. Juan and Eli. I mean, they've got a staff of people that really know all about the equipment rentals and the retail equipment sales. Sales, service, and parts. And they've got locations at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley with Juan, good old boy. 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin with Eli, another good old boy. And the Nampa location. I urge you to get a hold of them today. They've got all the Bobcats, all the shapes and sizes, and 0% interest for 60 months on the Bobcats. Check it out today. Barry Equipment and Rental, Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. You're going to have to make a decision, folks, because what happens if this first wave is allowed in? We've lost the teeth in saying, no, you can't come in. No, you're not going to break our laws. No, you're not going to break our Constitution. If they come in, we've lost it. And from that point on, there will be no border to the United States of America. There will be no respect for being a United States citizen. It'll be helter-skelter, anything goes, no law, no control, because of no border. This first wave cannot come in. If they do, there will be absolutely no way to stop, hinder, or even slow down the second and the third and the fourth in continuum. They're going to be coming across. It's got to stop. And it has to stop with this first caravan. And for all the bleeding heart liberals out there that want to complain after the program's over, please show a little backbone and call during the show. Don't forget a wonderful lady that's absolutely doing a good job of serving. Let's see, I got to check. I believe that Wheels is telling me I've got another call. I'll be right there. Lori Likely, Idaho House of Representatives, District 25A. Lori is a native to Idaho. Family is a fourth-generation ranching and farming family over on the north side in Jerome, and she's the Republican nominee for the Idaho House of Representatives, District 25, Seat A. That's right. She believes in a strong business community, balancing economic development with rural community and agricultural needs. Don't forget, Lori Likely, Idaho House of Representatives, District 25A, paid for by Likely for Idaho, Bill Likely, Treasurer. Caller number one, who's there on the phone? Go ahead, please.
That might be me.
Well, Mr. Yummy Man.
I'm here. I'm inviting everybody out to the Senior Junction on South Overland, just the next door south of the pit stop. Today, we're having fish sandwich, and Debbie says it's going to be delicious. And crinkle cut potatoes and baked beans, and let's see, we're having some yummy cake, too.
What kind of yummy cake are you going to have, Joe?
Applesauce.
You're going to have yummy applesauce cake. Oh, my goodness. Well, you're living up to your name, being the Yummy Man. Hey, tell us quickly, what about takeouts?
Oh, just call in at 208-878-8646 anytime before 1 o'clock, and Deb will have a delicious lunch ready for you to take out.
All right, that's at the Senior Junction on Overland. Joe, thank you so much. God bless you, the Yummy Man.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Don't forget, I know somebody that's... I'm going to take the next caller. Stand by. There's going to be an open house this weekend at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24, between Rupert and the World. Oh, is it going to be fun. It's going to be Friday and Saturday, November 2nd and 3rd, this weekend. Lunch will be available on Saturday. They're going to have fantastic deals going on with all the machines and, of course, all the accessories. They're going to have prize drawings, and they're going to have special buys on all the Suzukis. Oh, my goodness. And showcasing the new 2019 Skidoo snowmobiles. Woo-hoo! All of this at Let's Ride Open House this weekend. Don't miss it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Deb. Haven't talked to you for a while.
Yes, go ahead, please. Are you there?
Yeah. I'm trying to be here.
Okay. Evidently, they didn't have you turned up at the studio. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I think that George Soros is behind all of this, and he's payrolling it. After all, how could they be looking so well-dressed and so clean, and where are they getting fed? And I'd like to know how we can get a hold of George Soros. I think he needs to be hung on the public square from a short rope. He is more of an enemy to our country than any other country out there that doesn't like us.
I'm scared of the big money that you're talking about, whether it's George Soros, whether it's Tom Stiers, billionaire Tom Stiers, or whomever is the funding agent of this, because all they're doing is funding the demise and the end of the United States of America. And I am fighting mad over these individuals that are doing all they can to create insurrection and hurt our country.
And here they are, wealthy people
that
have made it off of the generous Americans. They are not going out and helping other countries other than they think they're helping those people, bringing them into our place. But are they going to hire all of those people when they get here? Because I don't think us, especially the agriculture community, has enough money to even go around or even start.
I think you bring up a really good point there, Chris, and I just don't like the idea that you and I and other Americans right now are standing up and saying, no, you're not coming in, but these illegal aliens are saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. America, you can't stop us. We're coming in, and you are going to do what we tell you. That's basically the attitude that these people have.
Well, I really think that Trump is not going to let it happen. I hope he isn't, because that's why he wants to build a wall.
Yeah.
And I hate it that we have to build a wall. But you know what? Maybe we do have to build a wall.
I absolutely am in favor of it. And, Chris, God bless you, and thank you for your call this morning. I've got to get to the weather forecast. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Caller number 2, don't go away. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Well, collect the $200, but save it for a rainy day. I'll get the weather on and be right with you. And the weather brought to you this hour by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And they are located right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. And they promise to provide the best of comprehensive diagnostic hearing evaluations, and they want to help your hearing. That's their number one goal. So please make an appointment today. Excellent doctors of audiology over there at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. The number 312-0957. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast as we are into the final 2 days of October. Today is going to be nice. The rest of the week, not so much. Looking at sunny skies for today, winds out of the west-southwest, right around 9 miles an hour, expecting a high of 48. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 31. Tomorrow, we are expecting mostly cloudy skies, high of 52, winds out of the southwest picking up to about 16 miles an hour, gusts as high as 24 miles an hour. For trick-or-treating tomorrow night, we do have a 20% chance of rain showers before midnight, mostly cloudy skies. Winds are going to be picking up as well, gusts as high as 25 miles an hour and a low of 42 by Thursday. Still a chance of rain showers before noon, mostly cloudy skies, gusts as high as 30 miles an hour, expecting a high of 57 by Friday. Back to mostly sunny skies and 66. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to everybody by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. You bet they can help you. They help me, and they are the best. Mount Harrison Audiology, and the number 312-0957. Caller, I appreciate your patience. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the Caravan, like you say, we cannot let this one in or we will not be able to stop another one.
Right.
And it's just like somebody trying to come into your house. You do not let them come in and take over. You've got to stop them. And if you have to use force, you have to use force, but you got to let common sense on their side prevail that, hey, we are a nation of laws. Now,
Doug, let's turn this around a little bit real fast, and I got other calls, and I want to make sure everybody has a fair shot. But let's turn this around. Let's assume that the United States is a third world, low-income, low-value country. Let's assume that just quickly. And that Canada is the United States. So we're going to reverse the roles a little bit. And all of us are going to go to the Canadian border and we're going to say, we're coming in and you can't stop us. We're going to take up residency and then you're going to pay for us. You're going to give us the amenities of health care and feed and clothe us. What do you think would happen?
They would close the border. If you go across illegally, you would wind up in prison. Look at that Marine that made a wrong turn into Mexico and how long he was in prison chained to a bed.
That's right.
And the liberals don't want to talk about that. We need to treat the people coming into our country the same as the country they're coming out of.
This is so ridiculous to me that we should be talking about this in 2018 to where we, supposedly the strongest country in the world that helps everybody else, we are being told by these illegal immigrants that we're coming in and Doug Martin and everybody else can't stop us, and we're going to get the graces of your social benefits, and we're going to take it and sit back, and you can't do a thing about it. What a pugnacious and repulsive attitude.
Exactly. It's a spoiled child that needs to be slapped down because they've been able to get away with it, and the liberals keep saying they don't get welfare, they don't get this baloney.
Yeah, there's another word to be used, but we can't on our program.
Exactly. Bovine dropping.
Something like that.
Because I know a fact that they do. That they do get benefits. They do get unemployment. They do get welfare. They can, at welfare office, they cannot ask your legal status when you apply for help.
That's right. You know, I'm just really concerned, and I'm going to go back to the basics, and then I'm going to take the next call, but I'm telling you, if we wilt like a flower in the sun right now on this first wave of this caravan, it's all over, Doug.
Yep. And for their waving their flag of origin where they started from?
Yeah.
No. If they were waving the American flag and wanted to assimilate, then they can do it the right way, go to the embassy, get in line, and do their deal.
I appreciate it. Give us your quick senior spiel.
Everybody, let's do what we can for our seniors coming up Christmas season. Let's put a little present under the tree for the senior centers.
Amen. There you go.
On a lighter note, you might be a redneck if your property has a gate but no fence. God bless.
Okay, Doug, thank you. Calls are welcome. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Quickly, go ahead, please.
Yes, you know, Zeb, this is outrageous. The thing that really bothers me, where is our Congress on this? They should have stopped this 30 years ago.
Bingo.
It should have never happened.
Yep, I agree.
One time. They should have stopped that border crossing and people coming in here and drawing welfare. Why are we not firing, getting rid of the bureaucrats that's giving them the welfare? Why have we not passed laws to stop it 100%? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, and when you ask these people that wear the 3-piece suits and the wingtip shoes, they kind of go, this and that, and they give you all kinds of excuses. You know, Jerry, you touched on it. Congress has absolutely been out to lunch in taking care of America, and every one of them ought to be fired.
And it isn't just Congress, it's the bureaucrats, too, that are allowing it.
I agree.
There shouldn't be one bureaucrat that would allow anything like this to happen in this country.
I agree.
If it isn't fair and it isn't honest, they shouldn't be allowing it.
There should be a respect for this country, its laws and its constitution and its value system, whether it's Democrat or Republican. And they're not doing that. They're not honoring what the laws are and what this country stands for, and they're not doing the job for their constituents.
I can complain all day long, and every one of your audience can complain all day long, and nothing will happen until our leaders get a backbone and stand up for this country and protect it, do their job.
It better happen soon, Jerry. It better happen soon. Thank you for your call, my dear friend.
I think that's where we need to start.
Absolutely.
We need to lay it down to them that it's got to happen. It isn't something we're going to let slide at all, anytime, ever.
Amen. Jerry, always appreciate your call. Thank you. God bless.
You have a wonderful day, and may the Lord bless you and every one of your people out there listening.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Please go ahead.
Zeb, let's just step back and take a look at what's really happening. When Trump got elected, it was based on the wall, and the Democrats just ho-hawed them away because they thought they were going to win, but they didn't. Now, the sense of urgency to have all these caravans come in is really important to the Democratic Party, because if they can get them across the border before we get this wall built, that's their objective.
Yep.
And I don't know how many people think of it that way, but that's just another sign that we got to get this wall built, and we got to do it soon.
I couldn't agree more, and I thank you for calling back. Thanks, Keith. God bless. Have a wonderful day. Appreciate it.
You bet. Bye-bye.
I'm telling you, folks, don't pay attention to the CBS News, those bleeding heart liberals, and the ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, etc. No. Read and study it for yourself. Do you want an invasion that's going to be maybe 5,000, 6,000 this time? Maybe 8,000 the next? Maybe 14,000 or more the next time? They're going to keep on coming. Illegally. Illegally. And it has to stop. Wheels, could we please have the good word for Proposition 1?
It's an Idaho tradition going back generations. Horse racing. And Proposition 1 will bring it back. Yes, on Proposition 1, it's all about Idaho. creating hundreds of local jobs, restoring millions of dollars to local classrooms, all with full transparency and real accountability. And the Idahoans sponsoring Prop 1 are doing even more, donating 100% of net profits from their horse racing operations to a new charitable foundation, the Treasure Valley Racing Foundation for Rural Idaho, dedicated to supporting education, scholarships, healthcare, and economic initiatives serving rural families and communities all across our state, supporting programs like 4-H and FFA, and providing financial assistance to students pursuing degrees in areas like agriculture and animal science. Yes, on Proposition 1, the campaign with a heart for Idaho. Paid for by the Committee to Save Idaho Horse Racing, Create Jobs, and Fund Public Schools.
Absolutely. I urge you to vote yes on Proposition 1. Don't forget, too, a great big fall tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. All the tires, all the tread designs for all the cars and the pickups and the SUVs and the trailers, whatever you need tires for. Now's the time to get in there and save money at any of the 7 Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And don't forget, to the best in brake service. That's not brag, that's a fact. The best of front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all there. All there at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Right now we're going to take a little break for the news. Come back in 7. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. Good morning, and a beautiful day, somewhat, out there on this Tuesday, October 30th. Tomorrow, Halloween. Don't forget that. We're brought to you, of course, by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you and serving you well with a great big fall tire sale. Stop in and see them today. And along with some of our great advertisers, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's have this good word for Western Waste. Right now, let's have this good word for Western Waste.
The canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, don't forget, they've got the portable storage units called the Go Minis, and they can bring one over to your location. You can fill it up, store it on your property after you lock it up and everything, or you can have them come get it and they'll store it on their property. Absolutely great portable storage units from Western Waste Services, and of course they are always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969 Western Waste Services. We're going to have our guest on the phone in just a moment. I want to remind everybody, too, about Ramsey Heating and Electric, along with Lennox products that help keep you comfortable and save you money. Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases, so call today and find out more. 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Just another way to make you feel better. Ramsey Heating and Electric, over 60 years of service to you. One more business real fast, and then we're going to get Frosty on the line, and that's Forever Green Lawn and Tree Service. And I want to urge you, Christmas is just around the corner, honestly, and if you're already dreading, and I know we do, hanging all the Christmas lights, get up on that ladder and yell down and say, are they all working? No, half of them are off. Well, anyway, don't put yourself in that position. Let Forever Green's experienced staff help you out. They can design custom fitting lighting strands to match match the specific needs of your house, and they've got 9 different color options available in LED bulbs. Please give them a call today for a free quote or schedule an appointment at 423-6454. For Evergreen Lawn and Tree Service, 423-6454. A big happy birthday to Sam Perkins today. Happy birthday to you. Sam Perkins, enjoy your birthday today. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and we've got a ton of things to talk about this morning with my dear, dear friend in Golden, Colorado, Frosty Woldridge. How are you?
Well, good morning, Zeb. Snow is falling, and I'm sharpening my ski edges, so life is good. Can't complain.
Frosty, I'm going to have to ask you if you can stay a little bit longer this morning on our program, and I will have to take some definitive breaks to get all my commercials in. But I want to start right now, and I want to make a statement, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong in your opinion, because you know a lot more about illegal alien immigration than I do. But I firmly believe that if we let this first caravan set foot on United States soil, it is going to be absolutely the most destructive thing that could happen to our military and to our safety and security, because once you open the door and they basically push the chest of the military back and say, we're coming in and you can't stop us, there's going to be wave after wave and caravan after caravan of more problems. Your thoughts?
You would be absolutely 100% correct. This started with Barack Obama, who simply failed, and in fact on purpose failed, to enforce the borders and allowed that 65,000 unattended children to come across the border. But what's even worse than all of that, Zeb, and I think everyone listening can appreciate this, there is somebody, I don't care who it is, it's the Mexican government that supported those 65,000 that came in 2 years ago with Barack Obama while he was in office. He didn't stop them, and those 65,000 were a part of the over 22 million illegal aliens that are already in the country. Now, that's the new Yale research report on the fact that the mainstream media has been telling us that we've only got 11 million illegal aliens in the country. We have over 22 million and probably as high as 25 million at the very minimum. And so what you're seeing is a breakdown of law and order in our country because our own president, that guy that was in there before, did not enforce the laws, and that's what his job is. And so he was the one that instigated and started this thing, but there's also people in Mexico and some big money people who are facilitating this thing. And the thing that's such a joke to me is that you see all these mothers and they're hauling little kids with them walking, 1,500, 2,000 miles from Honduras? That is the biggest farce on the face of the planet. They must be getting transported by trucks. Who's taking care of the porta potties? I mean, you've got 7,000 people and no porta potties, and they're doing their business alongside the road. I mean, the sanitation crisis alone would be a nightmare, but then feeding them. So you've got somebody paying for all of this, somebody facilitating all of this, and then we get to be the recipients of all these people who are immediately going to go on welfare. They're going to go on food stamps. They're going to go on welfare. They're going to go on aid-dependent children. They're going to go on housing. We cannot allow this to happen again. And whatever, I hope it's an executive order. I know that there's 5,200 military active duty troops going to the border right now. We must stop them before they come across that border. And you're right. If they get into this country, there will be more and more that will follow because most of Central America is totally overpopulated, starving to death, and under unbelievably sad situations. But in the end, they got to stay in their own countries where they're planted and solve their own problems in their own countries. we cannot solve these problems for them.
You know, you mentioned a moment ago, and I'm going to have a little bit different of opinion on what you said. You said that all the mothers and their children. In most of the footage that has been shot by all the networks, and I'm taking a compilation of whether it's ABC, Fox, or CNN, whatever, you see very few mothers and children marching. Very few marching. You see mostly young men, 18 to 35, and they're carrying their country flags. Look closely at the audiences that are parading by your TV screen, and they're well-dressed. They're mostly young males, and on occasion, you'll see a mom and her children. But I'm telling you that we cannot allow them to cross our border, thumb their nose at our Constitution and our laws, because there are other caravans being formed as we speak, and this will just open the floodgates.
Well, that's correct. And also, I really would direct all of you to newswithviews.com, and my latest column is Caravan Filled with Terrorists, MS-13 gang members, drug smugglers, sex traffickers, and, of course, in the end, all these welfare seekers. And I don't know if you've all read the Constitution, but there is an Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution, and it states, and I quote, "The United States shall guarantee to every state in this Union a republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion, and on application of the legislature or the executive branch against domestic violence," unquote. That is the law, and that gives the President of the United States the ability and the authority to send troops to the border to stop an invasion, and that's exactly what this is. And in this article, I did all the study. Judicial Watch said that there's no question that we've got MS-13 gang members have been detained, and coyotes are joining the march with clients who pay to get smuggled into the United States. And that's a Guatemalan official who told Judicial Watch, people from Asian countries waiting to get smuggled into the U.S. through Central America are also integrating with poor Hondurans in the caravan. This is a high-level Guatemalan government source confirmed these facts. We're not only being invaded by all the whatever they are, but MS-13 gang members, of course, will be then part of the distribution of all the methamphetamines and the cocaine and all of the drugs that are doing all of the killing and the heroin, of course, of our own kids here. That's why it's so important to make sure that we do not allow any of these people to get across this border.
All right, now wait a minute. We're going to back up just a second, and I want to make the words of our Constitution extremely clear. You said and quoted it just a moment ago, Frosty, but I think we need to highlight this. The United States shall guarantee to every state. Now let's talk about that. Let's talk about the border states of Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and California. Shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion. Are they doing that? No. And on application of the legislature or the executive, when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence. This is being perpetrated. This is being attacked every single day. Section 4 of our Constitution, and we are not getting the protection as citizens. And I hope and pray that Donald Trump does not weaken on border control.
Well, as you all can see, obviously what's happening to all of Europe, the breakdown of the rule of law. I just talked to a person who just came back from Europe and said that Muslims are literally inundating Europe, taking over literally all the mercantile stores, taking over and literally completely destroying the governmental aspects of all of Europe right now. You're seeing that same Islamic drip going on in Canada right now. But one of the things that this Article 4, Section 4 guarantees us is a republican form of government. And yet, right here in the United States right now, Sharia law, by de facto Sharia law, is now being implemented in places like Detroit and Miami and certainly Minneapolis, Fremont, California, and I can name a few others. And it's against the law. Sharia law, and as a matter of fact, the McCarran-Walters Act of 1952 completely banned any kind of a organization that would work for the fall of the United States of America. And Islam is absolutely predicated on the fact that it is here to conquest and break down and install Sharia law instead of constitutional law. So on so many different fronts right now, we're being assaulted, and the government of the United States, I mean, the Congress isn't stopping it. That's a doggone fact. And so we're literally being invaded not only by these caravans, but by Islamic invasion in the legal way. And like I said in the last week, 90 Muslims are running for public office all the way to the governorship and U.S. senators and House reps. And once these people start moving in and start usurping our Constitution, folks, we're in as much trouble as they are over there in Europe.
Frosty, I got to take a break quickly. We're going to have some good words and come back with more with Frosty Woldridge. Wheels over at our station. Can we please have the good word for Representative Fred Wood?
With us now, Legislative District 27 State Representative Fred Wood.
Hi, I'm Fred Wood. November the 6th is General Election Day. This election, all statewide constitutional offices and all legislative seats are up for re-election. In addition, Idaho citizens have placed two propositions on the general election ballot. Proposition 1, historical horse racing, and Proposition 2, Medicaid expansion. These propositions are citizens' opportunity to participate in direct democracy. Please go vote on November the 6th. Paid for committee to re-elect Fred Wood, Steve Westfall, Treasurer.
Thank you, Fred. And don't forget, too, another great friend of ours, District 25 State Senator Jim Patrick, wants to thank all the people that have voted for him in the past. He appreciates all your support. He's a lifelong farmer that understands the value of a great agricultural program here in the state of Idaho. He encourages everybody to go vote November 6th, and please understand Proposition 1 and 2 and all the people that are on the ballot. Please go vote November 6th. Paid for by Jim Patrick, District 25 Senator. Also, quickly, I want to remind you about another great organization, Minnecasia Hearts for Seniors. Holly Rowe, the heads up this program. It's outstanding. 135 East 23rd Drive in Burley. If you're a senior that wants to stay at home, but you might need a little help with some of the daily chores or the meal preparation or maybe light housekeeping, you can call them. They can help. Minnecasia Hearts for Seniors at 135 East 23rd Drive in Burley. The number 312-5715, 312-5715. We're on the air with Frosty Woldridge back in Golden, Colorado. Pardon me, Frosty, I'm sucking on cough drops. I got an awful cold this morning. You wrote an article that was one of the best I've read in a long time. It was called Most Destructive Force in 21st Century America, Endless Legal Immigration. And you talk about two things that make me mad. And those are the words of diversity and multiculturalism. Every time I hear those two words, I get fighting mad because all they are, in my opinion, are just swords in the back of American citizens and seeing their culture go down the drain. Am I wrong?
You would be correct. I would also direct this latest article that came out last week, Most Destructive Force in 21st Century America, endless legal immigration. We are a filled up boat right now with 330 million people, and we got more problems than a gumball machine, and yet we're not dealing with it. Yet we're importing 100,000 immigrants legally into our country every 30 days. And of course, they are bringing in, again, as I said, 196 different worldviews, 196 different languages, 196 different cultures, and certainly 196 different ways of life, and that none of them compatible with the United States of America. As a matter of fact, this thing is being read all over the East Coast. DC Laundry, major website in Washington, D.C., just picked me up as a new author. Two other major sites just picked me up because I'm one of the few journalist out here in America who's a citizen journalist who cares about the future of our country, and I'm able to write from the ground level because you all know I've been a teacher, I've been a truck driver, I've been a dance teacher, I've been a lifeguard, I've been a heavy equipment operator, I've been a safety director. I've done all this. I'm a former United States Army lieutenant, and so I know what's going on so many different levels. I hope that this most destructive force in 21st century America article about legal immigration becomes incredibly popular, and hope it lands me on some big TV shows or certainly more radio shows, because, again, as I've said many times in the last 15-plus years with you, we can't survive another 100 million immigrants. We won't survive another 100 million immigrants, and the fact is, whether it's sociologically, whether it's culturally, whether it's linguistically, or the ethos of our country, we're losing it. And I make it very clear, and the two most important videos that you can share with all your friends is the 10-minute Immigration Off the Charts by Roy Beck that'll show you that we are headed for doubling the U.S. population to well over 600 million people, and that will just turn us into another India or China or Mexico. We don't want to go there. And then the other 5-minute video shows you what kind of a nightmare the rest of the world is it adds 1 billion people every 12 years, and they all want to come to America because they've overwhelmed their own countries. So, yeah, this piece is frightening, and of course, the biologist and social scientist Garrett Hardin just said it. Diversity within a nation destroys unity and leads to civil wars. Does anybody want that? Well, how do we stop it? We've got to stop mass immigration into our country.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question and a comment. Quickly, caller, you're on the air, please.
Well, it's coming at us from all sides. You've got illegal immigration, and then they're coming in from all over the world across our southern border, and nobody even knows. And then you've got millennials who are as dumb as dirt because they don't care. They've never know how to work. They don't know how to appreciate what it is they've got. They don't appreciate the opportunities the country has given them. And free market capitalism and the Constitution is what makes everything work. And these people don't even know it. When we have a governor, a person running, a lady, Paulette Jordan, running for the governor of Idaho, and she's nothing but a socialist, and she's Native American and pretty, and people think she's great, and if you knew exactly what she wanted to do, she would destroy Idaho. And it's everywhere, including in our state, which you think is pretty safe, but it's changing quickly. I'm hanging up. Thanks.
Respond to the caller, if you would, Frosty, please.
The caller is right on the money. When you start thinking about, that Cortez lady, and I think it was in New Jersey, she doesn't even know her head from a hole in the ground. She is as dumb as dirt herself, and she's about to come into the House of Representatives because the ethnic vote is going to thrust her in there, just like somebody like Maxine Waters, who's even dumber than dirt, or a Hudson from Florida, or any of these minority people. What is it? John Lewis from
Georgia.
I think Cummins and Lewis from Georgia. A guy named one guy's so dumb down there in Georgia. He thinks that if you put too many people on one side of the island of Guam, that the Guam will tilt. I mean, this is the kind of consequences we've got from people who don't know what they're doing, have no understanding of the Constitution. That Cortez girl, what is she, 26 or 27? I bet you she hasn't read the Constitution. She doesn't know what the amendments are. And she wants to turn this country into socialism. She wants to get rid of ICE. She wants to absolutely break down the structures and the systems that make this country work so well. And so what you're seeing is we're being divided and destroyed from within by the very people who are enjoying all of the rights and all of the privileges and all of the citizenship that made this country, but would in fact destroy this country if we no longer have any care or concern about citizenship. And that's a fact. Citizenship means nothing anymore. Even minorities and African Americans are saying, hey, you people are taking care of these illegals and these legal immigrants more than you're taking care of us, the American people, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and that's a fact. We're taking care of people that don't even belong here better than we're taking care of ourselves. And when it comes to the Islamists in this country, we're taking care of Muslims better than we're taking care of American citizens. Well, the Muslims' final drive is to simply conquest this country and do away with the Constitution. That's how insane this is getting.
Let me jump in and say something before we take this next caller. You mentioned that we're being torn apart from within, and that's very true, because one of the stories I wanted to mention to you this morning and have you highlight is that the city of San Francisco, and absolutely an abyss of any knowledge whatsoever, the city of San Francisco has spent over $310,000 to go out and sign up illegal aliens to vote. What does that tell you?
Well, again, California is running somewhere between 4 to 6 million illegal aliens that are permeating the entire society. The schools are being totally destroyed in Southern California. Northern Californians are ready to simply secede from the Union if they can, or separate California into a Northern California and a Southern California, because Southern California has really become Mexico North. It's called El Norte, Mexico El Norte, and the reality is Spanish is being spoken everywhere in Southern California, and if you're an American, and if you're a white American, and if you're a black American in Southern California in any one of those Mexican barrios, I guarantee you, you're not safe, because you're not safe in your own country because you're not Mexican. And so, yeah, we're losing it, and that's what's happening. The same thing in Detroit, same thing in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I mean, folks, we are in deep, deep trouble because our entire Congress has not maintained our laws and has not protected us from this invasion. And as long as it continues, and there's nothing I see stopping it at this point in time, we're all at risk.
Frosty, I've got a caller waiting, but I've got to do a hard break at the bottom of the hour, and then we'll take that call. Stand by. Caller, I want to remind you that we'll be right with you, please. Don't forget Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, the manager, his family, and his staff, serving you and your family. When there's the passing of a loved one, they are always there to provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort, always, always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please write the number down, 436-5636. I'll repeat it again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morris and Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. One other quick note, and then we'll take our next call. Don't forget, a great big harvest sale is taking place at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. Listen to this. No money down, no interest, up to 48 months on approved credit. 40% off all the furniture and mattresses and dining room sets, motion furniture, all of this. 40% off the retail price at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. I mean, jump in the car, get there now. Great sale for you to beautify and comfortize your home for this fall and winter. And the big harvest sale going on at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead quickly, please.
Good morning. This overall effect, of course, has been for most of the last century is to destroy this country. To make us a third world country. And, of course, all this illegal invasion that's been going on for decades is destroying our culture. We see right here in the Magic Valley the people that are coming as refugees, and they're not assimilating, and they're not assimilating anywhere. And now we have this mysterious polio-like disease that CDC can't seem to identify. I'm wondering where that comes from. We've got whooping cough right here in the Magic Valley that even public radio admits is coming in from with illegal aliens. So my question to Frosty
is there anybody in Congress that will step up to the plate or is stepping up to the plate and that we can maybe reinforce and try to get to stop all of this immigration? We
all right.
need to find out who's here and stop all immigration, period, until we can get this thing cleared up.
All right, that's a very, very good question. I'm short on time, Adrian, so I'm going to have him respond to that. Go ahead, Frosty, please.
Well, and the caller's right on the money. We've got to stop all immigration into this country. We literally can't continue this way. And Tom Cotton of Arkansas pushed a bill into he's a senator, into the Senate to cut all immigration in half. That's a start. Instead of 1.2 million annually, cut it down to 500,000 was his deal. Of course, that got shot down quicker than a shooting star. And so what it has to be is that grassroots, we, the American people, have got to have the discussions. Again, I've tried to get on CNN with Anderson Cooper. I've tried to get on Fox News. All of you out there, you've got to start saying who can speak for you. And if you think that I could speak for you, that my voice is the voice of reason in this country, then somehow push 60 Minutes, call Leslie Stahl, call CNN, call up Fox News, call up Tucker Carlson, call up Jesse Waters, call up Martha McCullum and say, interview Frosty Wooldridge about the need to stop mass immigration into this country if we're going to survive the 21st century, not only from a sociological standpoint, cultural standpoint, linguistic standpoint, but from just environmental standpoint of being able to feed ourselves and have enough energy and land, arable land, to sustain this mob of 330 million people, which is going toward 440 million people here in a blink. We've got to do it, and it's got to be us. You can't wait around for a senator or House member to do anything. It's got to be we, the American people.
I agree, Frosty. We have another caller with a question. Quickly, caller. We're on limited time. Go ahead fast, please.
Yes, good morning, Frosty. I brought this up earlier. How active do you believe these terrorist training camps that we have in this country are going to react to this invasion?
Those terrorist training camps, there's 35 of them documented Islamic terrorist training camps in this country. And it's just a matter of time before they unleash themselves across this country. But of course, they know at this point, if they do make some big-time terrorist attacks, that the U.S. Army is going to come down on all of them, because we know where they are, and they're stretching from New York all the way to California. And it's a matter of time before they get bold enough to unleash a terrorist attack. And at that point, honest to God, I hope that the President of the United States and all of Congress say, hey, shut them down. I don't care if they're on private property or not. These are terrorist training camps. And they are validated and that's substantiated on Fox News with Hannity over a year ago. And they're still in operation, and we are still at risk because of that.
Frosty, I want to end our conversation. Now, keep in mind, please watch your watch a little bit, because I've only got about 4.5 minutes left. The last part of what I want to talk about is the force that may be needed at the border. It's easy for you and I to say they've got to be stopped. I believe the Army and our military down there have got to go to almost any limits to turn these people back. But when you start talking about force, the liberals in our audience are going to just tear their hair out and set it on fire because they don't want any force. They want these people to be allowed in. What should the president and our country do as far as force in turning them back? It's not an easy question to answer.
Okay, as a former United States Army officer, I can tell you this. When there's an invasion going on of your platoon or your company or your squad, you've got to use whatever means are possible and needed and that you have in hand. Personally, since this is a humanitarian situation, tear gas, certainly, I think they should be running Constantino wire. They should be running Constantino wire across the border there.
They are, yes.
I can make it absolutely impossible for them to get across the Constantino wire. certainly the tear gas with 5,000 or 10,000 troops there. There's no way they're going to get past the Constantino wire. They're not going to even attempt it. If they do attempt it, rubber bullets, I think, would be an outstanding way of taking care of that. And finally, in the end, it's going to have to be physical to physical. We're going to have our bodies against their bodies. And when we show enough force, they're not going to come across that border because our force is greater than their force, and this is our country. They know that they are illegal. They know they have no rights in our country. They know they have no right whatsoever to invade our country. Again, we just got to get the troops, the Constantino wire, rubber bullets, tear gas. I mean, whatever those all in all would absolutely turn these people back, and we've got to stay there until we keep turning them back till they simply don't have any chance of coming in.
Frosty, give me a real short, not more than a minute answer on this, but honestly, I don't like to speculate on this program. I only deal in hardcore facts. But if you look into your crystal ball, what honestly do you think is going to take place on this issue that will either enhance their movement of more caravans coming in or stop them? What do you think is going to happen and when?
Boy, that's a heck of a question. I think if President Trump is allowed to maintain Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution, and some of these absolute dolt of federal judges don't come down and try to stop him, then we can turn this thing back, and the president will turn it back, and the American people will be saved from this crisis at this point in time, and it will stop other caravans from trying this, because once you stop the first caravan, we should have stopped those 65,000 unattended kids. That should have been stopped. Well, once we stop it, they'll get the clue that we don't tolerate our borders being invaded. This is our country, and that's what I'm hoping for. But at this point in time, knowing politics in Washington and Democrats and liberals and the idiots that are egging this thing on, all bets are off. I really don't have a speculation of what's going to happen.
Frosty, I hate to say this, but I think all of us are going to have to wait and see and support our president and this administration in the protection and the security of our borders and, quite frankly, our entirety of the United States. Frosty Woldridge, God bless you, and please, I'll look forward to next Tuesday.
And thank you, Zeb. Godspeed, my friend.
Thank you. One of my best friends, Frosty Woldridge, back in Golden, Colorado. Thank you very much. I want to remind you about Let's Ride. Now, we've been telling you, and I hope you've heard the message, they're going to have a big open house this Friday and Saturday, November 2nd and 3rd. Yep. They're going to have lunch available on Saturday, and they're going to have great deals going on all through that open house with prize drawings, and they're going to have special buys on all the Suzukis. Holy moly! And they're going to be showcasing the new snowmobiles by Skidoo. Ho! You'd better get over to Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. And boy, that is the truth. Really, really good people. I want to also remind you, too, about some other folks that are over in that area, and that's, of course, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, and so much more. For you, your family, and your business, Cameron and Siemens Insurance. All you need to do is call the number, make an appointment. They are ready to serve you. Very dedicated and responsive and accessible. Those are key words right there. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Again, that number, 436-4424. You know, we are always talking about on our program all the different services that are available. Well, at Ramsey Heating and Electric, along with Lennox Products, they can help keep you comfortable and save you money. Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases. Don't forget, get a hold of them today, 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. And don't forget, Ramsey Heating and Electric in business over 6 decades of serving you. Right now, let's get a weather forecast on here before we go to our Stoats Equipment Ag Minutes. And we're going to have the weather brought to you by some friends of mine, and that's Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. What? You don't know about them? Well, they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. These are very, very knowledgeable and professional folks that can help you with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, retirement planning, financial statement preparation, and so much more. Expanding your business, maybe adding on new employees, or maybe going from a partnership, maybe a corporation, whatever. They can help. They will help. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast as we are into the final 2 days of October. Today is going to be nice. The rest of the week, not so much. Looking at sunny skies for today, winds out of the west-southwest, right around 9 miles an hour, expecting a high of 48. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 31. Tomorrow, we are expecting mostly cloudy skies, high of 52, winds out of the southwest picking up to about 16 miles an hour, gusts as high as 24 miles an hour. For trick-or-treating tomorrow night, we do have a 20% chance of rain showers before midnight, mostly cloudy skies. Winds are going to be picking up as well, gusts as high as 25 miles an hour and a low of 42 by Thursday. Still a chance of rain showers before noon, mostly cloudy skies, gusts as high as 30 miles an hour, expecting a high of 57 by Friday. Back to mostly sunny skies and 66. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina, and brought to everybody by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And if you are not aware of some of the tax rates that have changed, or the new deductions, or alterations of some of the old deductions, you'd better find out for you, your family, and your business. Get a hold of them today with offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Really, really good folks. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and I just think this guy is a good old boy from Arizona, now up here as the manager of Stoats Equipment, your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland in Burley. Good morning, Vic. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Doing fine, thank you.
You know, my wife called earlier and talked to you, and she said you had a plethora of items to discuss this morning, so I'm just going to turn it over to you and throw some of those items at me.
Sounds good. Yeah, we've got quite a few things going on here at the store and actually in our community as well. So that's one thing I love about Idaho is the diversity that we have. If you don't you don't like this, then go see that. If you don't like that, go see this. So there's plenty of options. And right now I know the focus on harvest and everybody's working hard to get it done. And we've got a lot of potatoes still being dug and beets and beans, you name it, it's out there. So we've got a few things going on. One is awareness, and we're always talking about safety here at Stoats. One of the things we want to make sure everybody's being careful. Please watch as you're going down the road. Just because you see flashing lights doesn't mean that they're, always going to be right in that lane. They could have a sprayer attachment. They could have a tillage equipment or something behind it. So please be careful. Slow down. Give them plenty of room. They're focused on getting harvest. They're not focused on you. So be smart. And they're a lot bigger than us. So get the heck out of the way is what I'm saying. So that's one of them. The other thing is we've got going is we have our John Deere Days for November, December, so please come in and take advantage of all the savings. We do this because we're trying to let everybody have an opportunity. Everybody likes John Deere toys. Everybody likes John Deere jackets and coats and shirts and hats, and it's getting close to Christmas. And I don't like celebrating and talking about Christmas in November, but that's why we start early to give everybody the savings, and nothing like being proactive. Although I am an adrenaline junkie. I like to wait about 3 days before Christmas and then go out and just fight for that last present. How about you, Zeb?
I'm lucky if I make it the 3 days. I usually do most of my shopping on Christmas Eve afternoon.
That a boy. Nothing like a daredevil.
No, I'm just stupid, that's all.
Some would call us a glutton for punishment, but that's okay.
There's so many things going on, and I want to elaborate. The John Deere Days, this is really a nice event that you and Stoats Equipment Company, I think it's a great overture to all the people that have been supportive of you over the year. This is really nice.
It's our way of saying thank you, and we brought it back in. It's probably been 10 years since I think most dealers have had it. It used to be a big thing in Arizona, and John Deere would show a film, and we'd serve everybody a nice dinner and talk about the new innovation, new products coming out, what's going on with the company, and we kind of lost touch with that, and it's been focused more on sales. And I'm not a salesman, I'll tell you that to begin with. I'm not a salesman at all, but I am all about making our customers' life easier, and that's offering good quality products and good parts and service. And if I can do that, then I feel good about what I did that day, and I sleep well at night when I do that. So John Deere Days does that. It's a way of us gathering all of our customers that they pay their bills, they work hard every day, and we just want to show them that we appreciate them, and that's a great way to do it.
Vic, let me ask you, you said you had a list of other items. We talked a little bit about safety, and boy, I'll tell you what, unfortunately, we've seen too many accidents already this fall during harvest. What other items did you want to mention this morning?
Well, the other thing I want to talk about is the community support. I think it's huge, whether it's in schools or FFAs. Everybody knows that we're huge on FFA, and then also supportive of our schools. And I do believe that our community is a strong community, and we have a lot of things to offer our youth that are graduating, that are kind of figuring out what their future is, and I think that we need to support and get involved. One of the things I just had the pleasure of doing was be involved in the Minico Job Fair, and there's a lot of great talent out there. It's just that we have to look for it. And believe it or not, even though we've been here, and John Deere's a huge name, it's been around for a long time, a lot of people don't know all the jobs and opportunities there's there for the youth coming up. They still think it's just a grease seal mechanic and a pair of coveralls. Well, I'm sorry, but it's technology's advanced, and now it's GPS systems, and we don't need just techs. We need HR people and accounting people and parts people and sales people. And I was lucky enough to sit next to a couple other companies too that were offering it. And you know what? It's a great place. There's plenty of things. You don't have to go outside. You don't have to travel. There's plenty of things you can do right here in our local community, Minicaja.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about and talk a little bit about briefly on the program this morning is I feel like agriculture is always overlooked by those that say, oh, we've got to go to a different energy program. We've got to get rid of fossil fuels. We've got to go strictly wind and solar. And, they don't really remember or think about the great agricultural industry. You're not going to push one of your tractors down the field with a propeller right now. And we cannot overlook the need for not diminishing but enhancing our agriculture.
Absolutely, and the way we're doing that is that we're getting smarter, we're getting innovation, we're getting more efficient. All the products that John Deere produces, the fuel consumption, even though you're having more horsepower, it's amazing the efficiencies that's come along over the last 10 years, and that's in every product we have out there, hopefully, because solar power is a good alternative. Wind power is a good alternative, but still, it's coming down to horsepower, to doing things to raise all the food that we need to supply, because our country's growing, and Idaho does a great part of that, as far as it has a huge impact on the sugar industry and potato industry and everything else that goes along with it. So we feed the nation, so we got to find ways to help our farmers be more efficient and work with them, and because ground is not easily maintained, ground is not easy to find, and we got to do everything we can to help them to be successful.
One of the great things that I happened to turn on this weekend was the RFD TV scheduling and playing of the FFA convention. If anybody has any doubts about the young people of today and how they're going to address certain things in the future, or their personalities or their character makeups, wow, watch the FFA. Those kids are sharp.
Well, and I like it, and I've been involved in FFA probably since high school, so a long time ago, many moons ago, back when there was probably no cars, just wagons and horses, right, Zeb? So FFA's been around a long time, and I think it's a great group, and you got the 4-H and for the younger levels, but it adds a lot of value. It gives our kids a direction, and I think it continues those morals and things that we try to plant the seed of to our children, to our youth, and I think it makes them a good, strong individual. And one thing about up here, there is so many good FFAs. You got Oakley, you got Declo, you got Burley, you got Minico. You've got everything out here, so it's amazing the strength we have, and we need to go back to our roots, and our roots is farming.
I always enjoy visiting with you on Tuesdays. Ladies and gentlemen, Vic over at Stoats Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland in Burley. It's true. They they do make your life easier. Vic, God bless. We will see you Saturday night.
Thanks, Ed. Stay safe.
God bless. Thank you very much. Really, really great folks. Your John Deere dealer, Stoats Equipment Company in Burley. Thank you very much. Wheels, old buddy, how about this good word for Proposition 1?
It's an Idaho tradition going back generations, horse racing, and Proposition 1 will bring it back. Yes, on Proposition 1. It's all about Idaho, creating hundreds of local jobs, restoring millions of dollars to local classrooms, all with full transparency and real accountability. And the Idahoans sponsoring Prop 1 are doing even more, donating 100% of net profits from their horse racing operations to a new charitable foundation, the Treasure Valley Racing Foundation for Rural Idaho, dedicated to supporting education, scholarships, healthcare, and economic initiatives, serving rural families and communities all across our state, supporting programs like 4-H and FFA, and providing financial assistance to students pursuing degrees in areas like agriculture and animal science. Yes, on Proposition 1, the campaign with a heart for Idaho. Paid for by the Committee to Save Idaho Horse Racing, Create Jobs, and Fund Public Schools.
Thank you very much, and also don't forget Representative Clark Kaufman, seat 25B, doing a great, great job for all of us. He works for tax policies that are business and family friendly, and Clark is a very hard worker that looks for solutions that are the best for most of the people here in the state of Idaho. He's done a lot of work for me. I absolutely have a lot of high praise for this man. Representative Clark Kaufman, seat 25B, urges you to go vote next Tuesday, November 6th. Know and understand all about Propositions 1 and 2 and know the candidates. This ad paid for by Clark Kaufman, Representative 25B, State Representative. I'd like to add kind of a little personal note here. Tomorrow being Halloween, and I know there's a lot of efforts around the area in various communities to have kind of a communal trick-or-treat to where everybody goes to a central location and everything. Well, if that's not the case and you do go house to house to house to house trick-or-treating, please make sure that your kids can be seen in the dark. Have an adult go with them, maybe carrying some flashlights or lights of any kind, and just be careful out there. And I would urge you also to go to homes that you know and watch out for traffic. All of these things for a safer, more sane Halloween that's going to be celebrated tomorrow. Please, with the little ones, make sure that they have adult supervision and just make sure everybody's going to be A-OK, all right? Tomorrow, Halloween. Now, what we've got coming up for the remainder of this morning, as a matter of fact, I think he just walked in the other part of our office, and that's Dr. History coming up in a few moments at 10:06. And then we are going to be calling long distance up to Coeur d'Alene. I believe Lieutenant Governor Brad Little is up there on a campaign trail today. We're going to have him on the air at 10:32 this morning, so we'll find out more about his quest to be the governor, and that's Brad Little. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Wheels. He's done a fantastic job for us over there this morning, and we're going to have this little bit of music and get ready for Dr. History coming up at 10:06. Wheels, take it away. Wow. We've been visiting Dr. History and myself. Always good to see Ken come into the studio. It is Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a great big fall tire sale going on right now. And along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. I want to remind you, too, that we've got a lot of great people running for office, and we need to keep this lady's values in the Idaho House of Representatives, seat 24B. Linda Wright Hartkin is a compassionate conservative that believes in our Second Amendment and is pro-life, and above all, she has common sense. With Representative Linda Wright Hartkin, we have a person that's a problem solver with integrity. Vote November 6th for Linda Wright Hartkin for for House Seat 24B. We need her values. Paid for by Elect Wright-Hartkin Committee, Rich Stivers, chairman. Also, I've mentioned many times before this morning, and again, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox bringing you products that help keep you comfortable. Ramsey Heating and Electric offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases. Call them today at 678-0459. Absolutely. Ramsey Heating and Electric, over 6 decades of serving you at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Well, it is Tuesday and time for one of my absolute favorite segments on the program that has grown and grown and grown. Here we go with Dr. History. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb.
How are you?
I'm great. A little cold out there this morning.
You know, I went outside at about 5:15 for my daily walk and turned around and went back and got a warmer coat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're there.
Yep.
So today we're going to talk about the freight wagons, the Teamsters, the guys that drove and hauled all this gear and all this heavy stuff back in the Old West.
You know, that must have been a real concentrated effort from A, the supplier, to B, the distributors, the retailers, and everything. Even in the Old West, I'm really marveling at how they did this.
So before I start the story, I need to kind of tell you about some of the things I'm going to be talking about, okay? Now, the horses actually, and sometimes mules, were what they called the wheelers, okay? That means the two animals right in front of the wagon, the two closest. Okay, those are called wheelers. And they were ridden by one and sometimes two men, usually, and it required to operate the wagon. And these two horses were usually bigger than the mules. And they had huge strength for starting wagons moving, and they could withstand the jarring of the heavy wagon tongue. But the mules were the smarter and better suited to work in the desert. Okay, so keep in mind, wheeler. Okay, a wheeler is either a mule or a horse, the two that are right in front of the wagon.
Okay.
Now, the teamster drove the team with a single long rein known as a jerk line. Okay, so keep that in mind, folks. Jerk line is how
I can remember the name jerk.
Okay, you got that. And with the aid of his big old long whip, the teamster usually rode on the left wheeler, the left side. And I'm not sure why they usually rode on that.
Now, let me ask you something, because in most movies and television westerns, it always seems like they rode on the right in the wagon.
Well, according to this, they usually rode on the left.
That's interesting.
But they could also sit up on the wagon if they wanted to, up on the seat.
Okay.
Because they had to work the brake as well. Now, the next guy I want to mention is called the swamper. Okay, the swamper usually rode the last trailer, and in hilly country, he could be on the back to work a brake on that back wagon. Now, from the trailer, the swamper, he could a lot of times he'd take a can of rocks, because if there was a mule that wasn't exactly working, he could throw a little rock at this mule and kind of get his attention.
So he had to have pretty good aim.
Yeah. So you don't hit your guy in front of you.
Yeah.
But both men were responsible for getting ready the team, feeding and watering the mules, any veterinary care or repairs that needed to be done. There was a stop at noon to feed and water the mules, and they didn't unharness them. They just kept them in harness. But the night stops, they had corrals and feed boxes for the mules, and a day's travel averaged about 17 miles.
Really?
Varying a little, from leg to leg. But it took about 10 days to make the trip one way, and they even constructed some cabins by the company for the drivers and the swampers when they stopped.
So they made 170 miles in 10 days.
Yeah.
And what from that point further out, what did they do?
Well, they just took it to a certain destination, and then either that's where they were sold, like if it was the town, the destination, or maybe another Teamster outfit took them the next leg.
Okay.
So I'm going to step out on a limb here once again, and I'm going to tell you that there's a guy by the name of Joe Phy. P-H-Y, Joe Phy. And I'm going to bet nobody's heard of him. But
he started all the college fraternities.
I don't think so. I made the mistake of saying this a few weeks back, and one of my listeners said, no, I know about this guy because you've talked about him before. Not this guy, but anyway. So Joe Phy. Now, he became famous throughout Arizona Territory for the time he outfought the Indians and saved his cargo. Now, Joe had no intention of doing anything anything unusual that day. He just got up. He went about his normal work, getting everything harnessed and ready to go. And his swamper, helping him. So he's 20 years old, and he actually appeared younger than he was, just because he was clean-shaven, not the typical beard and mustache.
20 years old, he's still a kid.
Yeah, he really is. So anyway, Joe approached, he was on the back of the near-wheeler. Okay, so he's riding this mule, okay, right next to the wagon on the left side.
Gotcha.
And it's a 10-mule team that he's got.
Okay.
Now, in his left hand, he holds what they called, as I mentioned, the jerk line,
right,
which is how he guides them.
Right.
In his left, and then he had a brake rope also that was tied to a saddle horn, so that he could pull on, hit the brakes if he has to. Now,
what about jumping?
We'll get to that. Now, Western movies and stuff always show these guys dressed to the hilt. This guy was just dressed in ordinary work clothes. He did carry a nice Colt 45 on his right hip. Now, behind the teamster, was a 4-inch tire Studebaker wagon. Now, I tried to find this, and I could not find it. Maybe some of our listeners know. When it says a 4-inch tire Studebaker wagon, I'm assuming that's how wide.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, a man that you need to call and contact. He can give you all this information. Ray Bagby knows everything about these old Studebaker wagons.
So the first wagon was a 4-inch. The second wagon was a 3-inch Studebaker wagon. And the trail wagon was kind of a lightweight one. It was called a Shuttler wagon, and it was named after a guy named Peter Shuttler, who was a wagon maker back east.
Okay.
So anyway, on the seat of the trail wagon sat the swamper, and his name was Mac McNulty. So we'll just call him Mac. So here we go. There's a military escort consisting of a sergeant and 12 troopers from K Company, 1st New Mexico Volunteer Cavalry, and they rode along in their proper positions for security of the wagons. However, since the only vegetation large enough to hide any Indians was an occasional mesquite tree, they didn't seem to be too, what should we say, on guard. They were a little daydreaming type.
Lackadaisical.
Yeah, they weren't paying too much attention. Well, the men had hauled 8,000 pounds of freight from La Paz on the Colorado and were on the last day of the trip to Prescott, Arizona territory. So you know where that is. So the date was October 1865. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. All right. So here we go. You got this picture. We got 12 cavalry guys. We got a swamper on the back wagon. We got Joe on the front near wheeler on the mule.
Yep.
So the rig was approaching a place called Woolsey's Hill. Woolsey's Hill. It's on the east side of a place called Skull Valley. Ever heard of Skull Valley?
I have.
Somewhere down in Arizona there.
Yeah.
Not too far out of Prescott.
Yeah.
So anyway, the teams, wagons, and the escort, they moved slowly, peacefully across the valley. The wagon wheels made the clunking noises. The fronts of the wagon beds were swaying from side to side. This wasn't any smooth ride. And Mac sat on the right side of the trail wagon, and he was back there just smoking his pipe, and he was just kind of relaxing. Now, he describes him as sitting there, his head not moving from left to right, but his hips are going back and forth, left and right. He'd learned how to compensate for the movement of the wagon.
Sounds like some dancer back in the 60s.
Yeah, but it was so tranquil, like I say, that the cavalry escort, they kind of almost seemed out of place.
Yeah.
Well, Joe stopped his mules at the foot of this hill, this grade. And looking around, he noticed that all these escort guys had gotten off their horses and were just kind of meandering around, not paying any attention. And it was unlikely that they would have any kind of an Indian attack, but this kind of bothered Joe that these guys were being pretty much careless.
Really?
This escort.
Yeah.
Right?
So what did Joe do?
Oh, we're going to get there. Don't get ahead of me, Zep. 10 minutes later, Joe moved his left hand up and down, causing the jerk line to tug at the leader's bits, and here we go. The rig started up this Woolsey's Hill, pretty long stretch. After 6 strenuous hauls and 5 rest stops, the outfit stopped, and he stopped his team up on top of this hill.
Uh-oh.
So in other words, he had to stop 5 times to give the mules a chance to rest.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty good.
But now he's at the top.
Yeah, now he's at the top.
This doesn't bode well.
Okay, so while resting his mules, Joe looked at the harness of one of his mules, and as he was looking, he saw an arrow pass from left to right, just clearing the back of the mule.
Uh-huh.
Several shots were fired from the mesquite north of the wagons. The plot thickens.
Oh, my goodness. So they were under attack.
Joe, from his saddle, he was on a saddle on this mule.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wishing he was in the wagon.
Yeah. And he ran forward. He jumped off, ran forward, and grabbed the mules, the leaders.
The leader.
And he grabbed their bits, the halter, okay. And his next attention was attracted to the rear guard. In other words, the escort. Okay, now picture this, Zeb. He's on the ground. He's being attacked, him and Mac. The rear guard escort passed him at a dead run, heading the other direction.
This doesn't sound right.
They were all stampeding. There would be no fight between the escort and the Indians.
So the military escort was basically getting the heck out of Dodge.
They were headed out.
That's not good.
Okay, now the mules moved quickly to the left. Joe led them in a circle until he reached the front wheel of the first wagon, and he tied the leader to it. So you got this picture. You got this circle of mules tied to the first wagon.
And there were 10 of them.
Yes.
Okay.
And 2 wagons behind that.
Yeah.
All right?
Kind of a train.
Yeah. So you've got this circle of mules, all right, tied up. Now, McNulty, when the shooting started, he grabbed his rifle and leaped to the ground, and he landed on his feet beside the trail wagon, and he crouched ready to fire from the hip at any and all Indians. But instead of seeing a war party, he saw the rear guard, the escort, run past him on a panic-stricken run.
That must have given him a real feeling of insecurity.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So Mac then ran toward Joe, who was tying the leaders to the wagon.
So it's just the 2 of these guys.
Yeah. So Joe, who had actually unharnessed a mule, he said, Mac, get on this mule and get after the escort and try to get them to come back, or get to Prescott and get some help to come and help me.
He was going to stand off everybody?
So he's by himself now.
Holy moly.
All right. Well, without hesitation, Mac jumped on the mule, and Joe, crouching low, he fired 4 shots from his Colt in the direction of the Indians. The mule started after the soldiers at a run, and with Mac lying low over his neck, the first 400 yards, the mule was so scared he forgot to buck.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've got pictures of Festus in my mind.
Okay. Well, Mac soon caught the escort, but no one would return to help Joe. He caught up with these guys.
And they were paid to do that.
Yeah, that was their job. So even the sergeant, pretended to have lost his ability to understand English. Mac, you can picture this. He's pleading and arguing and threatening. He says, we got to go back and help. Well, no, didn't work. So anyway, after trying repeatedly to rally the men, Mac decided he was accomplishing nothing besides tiring out his mule. So he headed at a fast trot for Prescott, Arizona.
How far was that?
About 10 miles to the east.
Holy moly.
And he was cursing some words that are not printed here, for every kind of coward he could think of for those soldiers.
What in the world?
Yeah. Well, anyway, after Mac's departure, Joe removed his Hawken rifle. You've heard of those.
Oh, yeah.
Cartridge box, canteen, and a second 6-shooter from the wagon. He sprang into the center of the circle of the mules. So if you got this picture here, we've got a circle of mules and 3 wagons.
Why would he go in the center?
For protection.
From how was he leaning up against the mules or what?
I don't know. He was just in the middle of them. So the Indians, who seemed to number about 25, they had fired on him when he was gathering the equipment, and Joe quickly assessed the damage. 2 mules were down, dying of bullet wounds. An arrow had passed through the tail of Joe's coat. He saw at 70...
Wait a minute, passed through the tail of his coat?
Yeah, he had on a coat, and it missed.
Yeah, it did.
It missed. So he saw at about 75 yards a clump of grass move a little bit. So Joe fired his rifle, and the ball hit the grass, which proved to be attached to an attacker. So that took care of one. 3 Apaches tried to close in as he reloaded his rifle. He killed them with his handgun, then stooped behind a mule as a bunch of bullets and arrows were sent his way. So he's hiding down behind this mule.
Yeah, so we're down to 21, or 20.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
21. Okay. Well, when the firing stopped, the bodies of the three that he shot were gone. So they had come in and
Picked him up,
taken
yeah.
him off.
Yeah.
Well, another mule was down, 2 arrows protruding from his side, and the Apaches attacked again. Joe drove them off with his Colt, killing 2 more.
Wow.
Right.
Now, okay, we're down to
About
18.
Yeah. Now, Joe's marksmanship was discouraging, and the Apaches fell back into the mesquites and giving their intended victim a little rest. So Joe, lying in the center of 9, now we got 9 dead or dying animals.
He's only got 3 left.
No, it was a 10 mule.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So he's not much left here. Anyway, he finished loading his rifle, then he put fresh cylinders in his Colt 45s. Well, he happened to glance toward a wagon in time to see, below the bed of the first one, 2 brown legs moving in his direction. Joe shifted position so that he lay facing that wagon. He held the Colt partially raised. When someone peeped around the corner, Joe fired, and that was the end of that particular peeping Indian.
Yeah, 15 now.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, unexpectedly, the Indians decided to negotiate. All right.
Wait a minute. All these Indians wanted to negotiate with just Joe?
Yeah. An Indian that Joe could see said, "Hello, you walk away, we no shoot."
It's kind of like that Tom Selleck movie. Remember that one?
Yeah. So Joe said, "No." Now, remember, this started at 8 o'clock in the morning. The time was now about 1 o'clock. And the young teamster, Joe, was still full of fight, and the Apaches were, at this point, getting a little reluctant to have more braves killed by this solitary marksman.
Yeah, their chief's saying, go up here and get him. The other Indians are going, you go get him,
Yeah,
Chief.
you go get him.
Yeah.
Okay, in the meantime, Mac, who had ridden as fast as he dared, was about this time arriving at his destination. The citizens of Prescott were presented with the sights and sounds of an angry, very angry, mad Scotsman trotting into town on an exhausted mule, shouting the news of Joe's situation. Well, within 10 minutes, 50 men were en route to Joe's assistance. They traveled in silence for about 8 miles. The road was uphill, so steep that some places they could only walk. Well, 5 miles from town, they met Joe's escort, the cavalry.
Oh, this ought to be interesting.
Yeah, but they passed without a word. All right, you know, they didn't say, "Hey,
Those
come and
guys
help
got
us."
off scot-free.
Yeah. So now it's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So the members of the rescue party had descended out of the pines and into the scrub oak. They were getting close to Joe if he still was alive. They didn't know what they'd find, but they thought he would hear a shot. So an old man fired a shotgun. Joe heard and realized that help was on its way. The Apaches also heard. They took off. They left. Now, no member of the rescues expected to find Joe alive. They were even agreeably surprised when the wagons were sighted because they figured they'd be burned and plundered.
Yeah.
You know, Joe dead, everything gone, you know. But the 9 mules were lying in a circle dead. In the center of that circle, alive and well, was Joe Fye. He'd saved his cargo. And anyway, they made quite a fuss over him for being, you know, a pretty brave guy. Here he is.
Well, I hope to shout.
Well, anyway, Joe Fye's reputation for absolute fearlessness and being a dead shot with both pistol and rifle began with this fight. But Joe seemed a little depressed for a month or so after this battle, and someone might think that he suffered from nerves or whatever because of the terrible ordeal, but actually Joe was grieving for his mules. They got to
you
really
get an
attached
attachment,
to
sure.
their horses and mules.
Yeah.
And he felt really bad that he had lost.
Well, he lost all but one, right?
Yeah. Well, no, he lost the 9. The other one is the one that Mac rode into Prescott.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but let me tell you a little bit about these guys, these teamsters. These were some interesting group of people, okay? They delivered clothing and building materials, utensils, dishes, tools, food, flour, sugar, coffee, and thousands of other goods from the factories and the docks in the east to the west.
Right.
So, in 1857 alone, some 300 merchants and freighters were engaged in commerce to the frontier, with records showing a total of almost 10,000 wagons loaded going back and forth between the territories.
My.
So before the railroads were built, these wagon trains pulled usually by mules, but sometimes oxen. Horses, of course, wouldn't hold up. But anyway, that's what they used. And they usually consisted of 10 to 30 heavy, high-wheeled wagons. Now, it says 30, and I'm thinking that's a lot of wagons to pull.
Oh,
and
my
each
goodness.
pulled by a team of anywhere from as little as 6 up to 20 animals pulling these wagons.
Yeah.
And people called them bushwhackers for teams of oxen. And I didn't realize this, Zeb, but the bushwhackers were the ones that rode, the teamsters that had oxen. Okay, the mule skinners were for the ones that had mules that pulled.
Okay.
And I didn't know there was a distinction between those two.
Okay.
But they drove the wagons and guarded the freight, and these were the original teamsters, and back then the term had real meaning. Okay. I know we're running out of time.
I'm running slim.
Okay, so just real quickly, these guys were considered the lowest on the rung of the social ladder.
Why?
They were dirty, they were unkempt, they were, says, vermin-infested hair and clothing.
Oh, my goodness.
Just grubby-looking guys, jailbirds, desperados, but some of them were good guys like Joe. But one thing that the bullwhackers and mule skinners used was a whip, a bullwhip. And they really could take a fly off the ear of a mule with a 10 to 20 foot bullwhip. So they were very, very good. In fact, if you ever got in a fight, you didn't want to get in a fight with one of these guys with the bullwhip because they'd take you.
Let's do a follow-up on this next week.
Okay.
That's an interesting story. I'm flat out of time.
I know.
But let's do more on the Teamsters. And maybe you could talk a little bit about that, what was it, 20 Mule Team Borax that went through Death Valley?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Hey, I apologize, but I got to hurry, and I've got to remind everybody, Dr. History here on Tuesdays at 10:06. Don't forget, on Thursday, we have another segment called Cassia County School Days, and it's sponsored by A Child's World at 1308 Overland and Burley. All the new clothes arriving daily from newborn to size 16, and they've got all the Cherokee scrubs and the shoes, and they've got all the games, the puzzles, and the toys, and the baby furniture, everything at A Child's World. 1308 Overland and Burley, and they bring you Cassia County School Days on Thursdays at 10:10. Also, before Doc leaves, I want to remind everybody about Syringa Plaza. This is a really, really wonderful and affordable senior community in Burley. And you can be with your friends and have all the living and the visiting and the fun times. This Syringa Plaza serves low-income seniors who maintain an independent living status with or without assistance. Check it out today. Please call them at 677-4204 or stop by at 626 Elba Avenue in Burley. Syringa Plaza offering one-bedroom apartments, an emergency call system, ample community space, really nice for seniors. Syringa Plaza, 677-4204. Right now, let's send it back over to our main studios, and I'll be back with more in just about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much. And real quick, I want to remind you, this weekend, a great big open house at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. Friday and Saturday, November 2nd and 3rd. Lunch available on Saturday. Great deals both days. Be sure and stop over. Prize drawings and special buys on all the Suzukis at Let's Ride Open House this weekend, 270 Highway 24 in Rupert. Right now, I get a chance to talk to a friend of mine that we had a chance to visit many, many times, as he was the lieutenant governor for the state of Idaho and still is, but we've got bigger things. We hope next Tuesday he will become the governor of our great state of Idaho. Brad Little, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm great, Zeb. How are things at the ranch?
Real good. The only thing we miss is having you in the studio.
Well, I was close. I was in Kimberly last week, but we were on a 3,000-mile, 72-stop bus tour, so we were never anywhere very long. So, and I'm almost up to Sandpoint again, so that's what happens in a statewide campaign.
Let me ask you this, sir. There are so many things, so many topics that need to be discussed as you're running for the governorship of our state of Idaho. Let's talk first and foremost about education. I'll just state my case on something regarding education. I'd like to hear your comments. I am sick and tired of the Democratic narrative that Idaho, its students, and its teachers are at the bottom of the barrel. I don't feel that way at all. My kids had an excellent education, and I think that everything can be improved. What are your thoughts on education?
You nailed it, Zeb. That narrative is, those rankings are based on what you spend, how many languages the parents speak. Does the state mandate pre-K inputs, not outputs? Not how are these kids doing in reading? How are they doing in math? How are they doing on taking college entrance exams? That's what matters, is what's taking place in the classroom. But if you're out of power, and education's important, they have to have that narrative. Otherwise, they don't have anything. We've got this incredible agreement between the business community, parents, teachers, administrators, school trustees on what we're doing in public education, and it's undermined their position of, education's bad, you got to vote for us because of all the money and all the investments and all the improvements we've made in education.
I would say this, sir, and I think you'll agree with me, that just throwing money, a blank check at any situation doesn't necessarily make the situation better, does it?
No, and I mean, you can go to Chicago, you can go to Washington, D.C., you can go to a lot of other places where they put in massive amounts of money compared to what we do, and see the results of that. But, the reason we've been putting more money into it is we have to be competitive on teacher pay.
Right.
We can't afford to have our best and brightest leaving Idaho, and that our best potential educators don't want to teach here. So we have to be competitive, and we have increased starting teacher pay by 30-some% in the last 4 years, and that's very important to us.
Let me ask you this. Along with creating more money for various activities and functions, that means the state of Idaho, its economy, and its growth have to really be enhanced. What are your thoughts about the future of our state with our economy?
Well, I mean, we lead the nation in income growth. We're, one of the top 5 in income growth, or one of the top 2 or 3 in job growth, and wages are going up as a result of this incredible scarcity of skilled workers, and that's a way better problem than we had 100,000 people out of work and nearly 9-something% unemployment. I'll take this problem any day over the other problem.
One of the big issues, of course, are taxes for our state of Idaho, along with all the growth factors. What about the future when you win the governorship as far as taxes here in our state?
Well, today, as an income taxpayer, and most people pay income taxes, the rate today is the lowest it's been since 1932. And we continue, when we get a little ahead, rather than growing government more than we should, other than our critical services, we give some of that money back to the taxpayers, just like we did last year. But you have to do both. You have to pay for the essential services, but you don't want to grow government too much, because when it slows down, then you're in trouble. But I am very pleased that we have refilled our rainy day fund buckets, so that if something happens, we've got that back up to almost $500 million, which is what it was in 2006. And that's really important because it gives us a shock absorber if something happens.
Brad, let me ask you about another topic that unfortunately is in the news prominently every day, and that's illegal alien immigration, the forced caravan coming up to cross our border. What are your thoughts on immigration? Are there any solutions? Where are we at, in your opinion?
Well, the border and immigration are undoubtedly the role of the federal government in the Constitution. The state, we have an obligation as the state, and I would as governor to keep our people safe. But that is an issue that needs to be addressed by Congress. They need to fix this thing. They need to work out a program to where we've got an adequate ag worker program, to where we secure the border, to where we give certainty to people that come here, and that they don't have to come under the guise of darkness, that they can come be productive members of our society and add to the economy, and that they don't dislocate existing workers in Idaho. We had a program. I'm no longer in the sheep business, and they still have that program. We had a good program. We advertised if Americans or Idahoans wanted those jobs, they could get them. If they didn't, we had a program where we brought them here. They weren't on any government programs. We took care of them. That's a program the dairy industry needs desperately.
Absolutely. I want to ask you this. Your opponent for the governorship, Paulette Jordan, said she wants to decriminalize and then possibly legalize marijuana. As a father and a grandfather, I'm speaking for myself personally, I don't want to see that issue, and I don't want to go down that slippery slope. What are your thoughts?
Well, and I brought it up last night, you can go to Portland, go to Seattle, go to Denver, go to these cities that have legalized marijuana, and spend a little time there and decide if that's what you want. Talk to people that are trying to get help, dependable help. Talk to contractors that can't find anybody that can work on some of these projects because they can't pass a drug test. We are also looking at, we took care of the problem with these kids with epilepsy and put in a good program. Idaho was a big participant in that. And if we can have quality controlled, non-hallucinogenic product from those plants where we know what the quality is, it doesn't exacerbate law enforcement, and it doesn't lead to recreational marijuana, I would look at it. But I've got a pretty high barrier in my mind. I don't want what's taking place in these other states.
Absolutely. Brad, we've got some issues this year that are going to be addressed on the ballot. Proposition 1, the horse racing issue, and Proposition 2, the Medicaid expansion. I would like you to give us your thoughts, first of all, on Prop 1 and then Prop 2.
Well, I support Prop 1. We raised saddle horses at the ranch, but my dad, for a while, we had a couple mares that had a pretty good background, and we raised a few race horses, and if they were slow or jumped over the fence or ran back to the paddock, I rode them for saddle horses. And what's important in Malad and Jerome and Blackfoot and Idaho Falls and these other communities is the racetrack underwrites part of the superstructure for the fairs, for the 4-H programs, and that's where my love of the horse racing industry is what it does for rural Idaho. So I support the Prop 1. Prop 2, the governor yesterday came out in support of it. I have said if it passes, I will implement it. But to get it implemented, it's necessary to get an appropriation through the legislature. The language says the director of the Department of Health and Welfare will work to put this program in. All of our safety net programs in Idaho, we Idahoans want to have a spring in that safety net. So it's not an entitlement, so it doesn't go on forever. Where we help these people, but to where there's a pathway, and we create the incentive for people, if they need this help, we help them, but we give them a pathway to where they can go to work for somebody who's got insurance, where they can buy their own insurance, where they don't assume it as an entitlement. And so that's why I've said, and frankly, I'm wrestling with it. I've seen these other states where the estimates have been off by as much as double or triple what they were going to cost. And also right now, there's a court case pending in Texas that may unwind the Affordable Care Act. And if that takes place, the cost may go way up. And so those are all things that have caused me pause. I want to address this gap problem, and I will implement it if the people pass it.
Brad, one final thought. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about energy, if I could. I, for one, I'm on my talk show. I don't like all the windmills, and I don't like all the solar taking up various land and holdings around communities, etc. What about energy for the state of Idaho for the future? What are your thoughts as a potential governor next Tuesday?
Well, we had an integrated a state energy plan, and it was the consensus of the legislature and the business community and the citizens showed up that we wanted to get 20% these new renewables. We've always been very fortunate to have the best renewable, which is hydropower, which happens over and over and doesn't have a big footprint and is part of what we do to harness the water to make it part of agriculture. And we've got to that point. I'm a free market Republican. If somebody wants to put in a project and it works and the community accepts it, I'm fine with that. I'm not a big government mandate person. And we know, as a matter of fact, the fact that we haven't mandated the new technology in wind and the new technology of solar is getting to have a smaller and a smaller footprint because of technology. Mm-hmm. I have read some articles by some pretty smart people that think that that's going to be a continuation, that we'll be able to put small panels on houses that'll be pretty unobtrusive. We got to figure out how it's going to work into the grid, and but when government gets involved and makes these mandates, it generally has a negative consequence instead of a positive consequence.
Absolutely. Brad, I've got about roughly a minute and a half left, and I'm going to give you the floor right now, and you tell my audience to get out to the polls next Tuesday and vote for you for governor.
Well, you just did it. I will just add one thing. I've been very lucky to have the experience, and the voters need to rest assured that every decision I make will be to make sure that us, our kids, and our grandkids will want to stay in Idaho, that we don't export our kids out of Idaho. And I am very at peace with that filter on all my decisions. So that's who I am. That's what I intend to do. And I do earnestly want people to participate in this important part of our republic.
Ladies and gentlemen, I consider this man a friend. Lieutenant Governor Brad Little running for governor this next Tuesday, November 6th. My dear friend Brad, take care, drive carefully, and when you ever get close to the ranch, stop in.
All right, thanks, Zeb.
Take care. Thank you so much. Brad Little running for governor, and of course, vote next Tuesday, November 6th. Holy cow, we've got to get a weather forecast on here, and the weather brought to you this hour by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Delicious meats. I'm talking the best of breakfast sausages, bratwurst, bacon. Oh, how about the tri-tips and all the marinated pork ribs? It is phenomenal. Stop over or give them a call. Scarrows Meats in Jerome, 324-7657. Right now, here's the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast as we are into the final 2 days of October. Today is going to be nice. The rest of the week, not so much. Looking at sunny skies for today, winds out of the west-southwest, right around 9 miles an hour, expecting a high of 48. Tonight, mostly clear with a low of 31. Tomorrow, we are expecting mostly cloudy skies, high of 52, winds out of the southwest picking up to about 16 miles an hour, gusts as high as 24 miles an hour. For trick-or-treating tomorrow night, we do have a 20% chance of rain showers before midnight, mostly cloudy skies. Winds are going to be picking up as well, gusts as high as 25 miles an hour and a low of 42 by Thursday. Still a chance of rain showers before noon, mostly cloudy skies, gusts as high as 30 miles an hour, expecting a high of 57 by Friday. Back to mostly sunny skies and 66. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, Wheels, thank you. If you can turn up the feed line just a little bit to me, Wheels, I'd appreciate it. Don't forget Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Oh, the delicious meats from Scarrows Meats, changing the way we eat one bite at a time. Oh, my. Let's see. I got time for some calls. Give me a jingle quickly at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget, again, Representative Clark Kaufman, seat 25B. This is a good guy. I mean that. He really is diligent and gets the work done for us. Clark supports funding for infrastructure for roads and bridges to maintain our export economy in Idaho, and he supports the good neighbor policy of the state managing specific parcels of federal land for the betterment of all Idahoans. Don't forget, next Tuesday, November 6th, go to the polls. Remember, Representative Clark Kaufman, seat 25B, paid for by Clark Kaufman, 25B Representative, State Representative. Thank you. Repeated myself. Anyhow, give us a call quickly at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Megan Kelly. You remember her. She used to be on Fox News, and then she left and went over to NBC to have her own quote-unquote talk show. Well, she was fired for saying that, and listen carefully to this, for basically saying it's okay to dress up for Halloween as black characters or personalities. Now, it has been for years. But we live in such a politically correct society now that by saying that, dressing up as maybe so-and-so or dressing up as former President Barack Obama, that's not right. And the PC left made adamant stands on this, and basically Megan Kelly is out of a job. They fired her from her NBC show. But why are certain people in our society sacred cows? Why can't there be a tongue-in-cheek or a humor of us laughing at ourselves and each other, maybe to alleviate a little bit of the tension that's going on between the races right now in this country? But to say, oh, you can't do that, you can't wear that mask, like they tried to say when Barack Obama was president of this United States, I find that way too much control. What are your thoughts? Let's find out. Caller, real quick, you're on the air.
Well, Zeb, you know, I took a stand against Megan Kelly when she cut her hair because she turned into a different person than the sweet person she was and started attacking the president and that sort of thing. So I don't know if Fox takes her back, which there'd be a chance of that.
No, you're ignoring the issue that we're talking about, though, Keith. Don't talk about something about taking back or whatever. We're talking about how she was fired, saying it's okay to dress up for Halloween as a black character or personality, and she was fired over that issue. What's your thought on that issue? Stay within the confines of what we're talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, I think she's perfectly within her right to say that.
I do too.
I mean, It's just, this is a free country, and if I remember right, the First Amendment says we have free speech.
Well, we're not doing anything to denigrate anybody, and if you'll recall, I walked into the lunch bunch last week on Thursday with a Barack Obama mask on, wearing a Trump cap. And I'm not going to back up for anybody. I didn't do it to be derogatory to anybody. It was just nothing more than a Halloween party costume, and I stand behind. Nobody was hurt, nobody was slandered, etc.
Well, I agree with you there. I thought you looked pretty good.
No, be careful. I got to run, but I appreciate your opinion, Keith. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
We have just a minute here. I want to be sure and hear the good words, Wheels, if you will, for Proposition 1.
It's an Idaho tradition going back generations, horse racing, and Proposition 1 will bring it back. Yes, on Proposition 1. It's all about Idaho, creating hundreds of local jobs, restoring millions of dollars to local classrooms, all with full transparency and real accountability. And the Idahoans sponsoring Prop 1 are doing even more, donating 100% of net profits from their horse racing operations to a new charitable foundation, the Treasure Valley Racing Foundation for Rural Idaho, dedicated to supporting education, scholarships, healthcare, and economic initiatives, serving rural families and communities all across our state, supporting programs like 4-H and FFA, and providing financial assistance to students pursuing degrees in areas like agriculture and animal science. Yes, on Proposition 1, the campaign with a heart for Idaho. Paid for by the Committee to Save Idaho Horse Racing, Create Jobs, and Fund Public Schools.
Oh, thank you very much. Boy, I looked at the clock and I thought, I'm running late. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Fall tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Stop in for the best of tires for your car, your pickup, your SUV, tires of any kind. Right there on sale, fall tire sale. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. They comprise the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, with the best also of brake service, front end alignments, shocks and struts, batteries. Stop in and see them today and drive safely with a big fall tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, I've got exactly 30 seconds, real fast.
Okay, I think it's okay to wear any costume as long as it's in fun. We had a guy come to the lunch bunch that wore a chicken outfit with red skeleton attached to the front and accused somebody of committing a crime they didn't commit and made me guilty before I was.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll carry this over till tomorrow, my dear friend, but you had a great costume, so did he. Thanks, Jerry. I got to run. Thank you so much.
You have a great day. May the Lord bless.
All right, sir. Got to run. Tomorrow morning at 8:06, we'll be back here in the saddle for 3 hours. Don't forget, right here on K-Bar 1230 and also streaming live on the internet, ZebBell.com, where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be. And remember, the world needs more cowboys. Have a good day.